Here we are back on Rainsby Guard on a gorgeous spring morning. Today we have another bale grazing adventure. We've been doing a lot of experimenting with bale grazing this first few months of having sheep, and that's because we've got bare ground here. This had potatoes on it growing until last autumn. And so there wasn't a chance for us to grow a new pasture yet. So what we've needed to do is to roll out bales onto the ground instead of feeding them inside a bale ring. Now, we've talked about that in our previous video. Go and check that out if you haven't already. But basically, when you feed in a bale ring, this area here that I'm trying to show you, this you can see here, there's quite a big circle here. I can see it quite well. That's dirt. This is hay that we've let them eat. So when they first got here 3 months ago, this was a bale that we opened up, and it was a simulation to see whether the bale ring approach was going to work. And as you can see, it hasn't, because, well, yeah, this is frozen. However, you can see how much grass is left here. This is, I tried to kick this up yesterday. This is about a foot deep with grass that they haven't eaten. They've just stood all over. And it's okay that they don't eat it, but when it's so thick, it basically means that nothing's going to grow underneath it. So that's all right this year, because we're actually going to use the harrow. And harrow? We call it harv in Norwegian, and I get confused. Anyway, so it's such a thick carpet that nothing's going to grow unless we actually get rid of it, which is a lot of work. And you can see, just quickly, here's another one. This is another, so you can see the dirt here, and then it's a bale, a big ring. This was another one. We fed 2 like this, and then we God said to ourselves, we've got to try the bale grazing. We've got to try and roll it out and see that we don't get this big carpet of unused grass that's not good when the spring comes either, and they're not getting fed it. So then we've done bale grazing in some other parts. We've shown you on that on the video, the first video. So the next challenge has been actually rolling out the bales. The first video, we concentrated on rolling out the bales by hand, and we did that for the first little while. And the issue with that is you still get a thick carpet. I'll show you. You still get a thick carpet. So this is better. Not quite as thick. There's bare ground there. Yeah, so that's really good. But it's still, we still had some thick carpets come off the bale. So what we need to do was, we've invested in an ATV, which will make bale grazing better the more sheep we get as well. And then on the back of the ATV, we have this, it's more or less a bale unroller. It's a very simple trailer that we've welded up. And then initially we had one big spike that ran through here, and that made it quite challenging. And then we just put a pin in to keep that axle in, but that axle was quite difficult to bang into place. And then so we've made some adjustments, and yeah, look, it's a simple bale unroller, and I've done some of the welding and I've learned how to weld as I've done it. But it's no Greg Judy Bale Unroller like I've talked about in the first video. If you haven't gone and checked out Greg Judy, go and check him out after this video. the dude knows his stuff about bale unrolling, and he makes bale unrollers. They're quite more sophisticated than this one, but this one works. So the idea with the bale unrolling is that when you unroll the bale, you roll it off the opposite way you think you should. And what that does is, instead of just rolling off in big carpets, big thick mats of hay, you roll it off the other way, and it takes much longer, but you cover much bigger area, and you only get small bits coming off sometimes. Sometimes you get big bits, sometimes you get small bits, and that's better than a big thick carpet, because next year this is going to have pasture on it, not dirt. So we really don't want to kill the grass, that we're putting underneath. And it's not just grass. We're going to be putting clovers. We're going to be putting all these other types of flowers and legumes and china pods and all these other plant varieties that are going to all interact with each other and create really rich soil life. So we don't want to destroy that by just putting a carpet of hay over the top of it in the winter. Anyway, let's get into it. All right, so what we want to do first of all is figure out which way the bale is facing. And I do that by having a quick little look okay, so it's actually, we want to be facing that way. So what I'm going to need to do, instead of push the bale around, is I'm going to move the trailer. Hungry sheep this morning. All right, so instead of, like I said initially, we had a single spear that went through the bale. Now I've welded up these spears that they go through like that, and I've nearly changed this around, so I've got a carabiner here and that hooks up to this, and that stops this from twisting with the bale on, which I think makes it a little bit easier. You don't get so much grass wound around here because it's spinning also, but we'll see. I'm still figuring this all out. So okay, so now need to find the center on both sides. And push the spear in. And hammer the spear in. Okay, so I've knocked the spears in both sides, locked up the shackles, and then with this particular model, we take off the wheels on both sides, because then the bale, when it gets down, it can just keep running off without me having to stop. Okay, so now the only thing left to do is to hook it up before the sheep eat it all. Yes, so this is the bale unrolling. It's come off some pretty big chunks today. but I'm pretty confident that we've spread it out enough that they'll be able to chew that down so that it's pretty favourable in a week or so. And being spring here, we are going to be harrowing the field pretty soon to get this pasture, the seeds for the diverse pasture sown pretty soon, so that we can take advantage of the whole summer or the whole warm period to have our pasture up and running here on this field for next summer. So I spared you the boredom, I put the wheels back on it. This is the bit of grass that's left from the end of the bale. It just won't roll off. But on the whole, that was a great success today. The Bale Unroller is definitely much better with 2 spears instead of 1 large spear through the middle of the bale. That works really good. So yeah, some of the problems that we've had with the first Bale Unroller, like I said, it was just it wasn't actually the Bale Unroller's fault with all of them. This type of dry grass, this rolls off really well, and if you look at Greg Judy and all those other guys that are doing bale unrolling, it works well. They're using this type of grass as well. But for me, we have two or three different varieties here, and one of the varieties that we have is like a really wet clover and a really wet straw together, and when they were on the Bale Unroller, it was just a catastrophe. So we're going to have probably more of that next year and then coming years as we make our own bales, and it's going to be stuff like that. It's not going to be just plain old Timothy grass like this. So we're going to have to manage that somehow, but I'm sure we can. We've overcome a lot of challenges so far. So yeah, if you're in America or Canada, Mexico, I'm sure you could get yourself a Greg Judy Bale Unroller sent to you. Greg makes them. They're much more sophisticated than this, and they make a lot of sense. They're probably, I don't know how expensive they are, but I don't want to take any business away from Greg. I love Greg, I'm a big fan. And but if you're a farmer and you're light on cash like me, I would say get out and weld yourself something up like this. So, you know, if anyone wants to know more about this design, I can just hit me up in the comments, and I'd be happy to talk with you about it. Because yeah, as I discussed in the last video, you should check that one out. It's important to be able to build your own gear, you know, and your own infrastructure and equipment like this if you can, you know. I can't weld, well, I couldn't weld before this. So now I feel like I can weld because I had a crack at this, and yeah, I'm growing, as we all are, hopefully. It's nice to see a very content sheep as far as you can see. So yeah guys, that's my second video on bale unrolling, this time with an ATV and a bale unroller. And yeah, look, it's much more fun and it's much quicker with the setup, but that's not why you do it. I guess you do it so that you can cover bigger areas, and you can get this effect with the grass where it flicks off little bits and then it leaves big chunks, and you know, that seems to really go into the ground a lot better. And as the years go by, I'm sure we're going to learn more about bale grazing and bale unrolling. But yeah, we've got some very pregnant sheep here enjoying the fruits of the bale grazing. Thanks for your time once again. It's a pleasure sharing it with you. Hit me up in the comments if you want to know anything about bale grazing, bale unrolling. I'm a novice, but I'm happy to help other novices through it. And yeah, let's help spread the word, and we'll see how it all plays out here on Rainsby Guard. All right, cheers.